Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Life in Mountain, Maryland. It is a podcast hosted in Downtown Cumberland from the studios of Allegheny Media. In these episodes, we talk about things that are happening in and around our region, positive things that are taking place. This is episode number 4 with Josh Arnold of Lost Mountain BBQ. All right, Josh, well, welcome to the studio. It's exciting to have you here. Actually, it's exciting to have barbecue in Cumberland. And so a lot of people have been looking forward to this day. We no longer have to drive 45 minutes away to get good barbecue. You're doing that for us.
Yeah.
So tell us about your venture. What got you started in barbecue?
Started with my granddad telling me I needed to find a way to make money doing something I like to do, and then that I enjoyed, and then I wouldn't have to work. And worked for 15 years in the delivering bread, and when that I really got burnt out on that, and just sitting at home smoking a pork butt and drinking a beer, and I've tried to think of a way I could make money doing those two things. Barbecue and beer goes hand in hand. Now I don't have time to drink beer. It's an 8-day a week, 300 hours a week is what it seems like just to run one place, and then now I'm opening a second one. It's like I'm a glutton for punishment, really.
It's really interesting because we want to work for ourselves because we think that we end up having more control over our lives, and
Yeah.
But it is 8 days a week, 300 hours a week. When something needs to be done, you're the person to do it because ultimately it's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't. So before you were in barbecue, you did other stuff. You were doing route sales, and you had.
I worked in a couple restaurants. I was a manager at Denny's. I was a server at Carrabba's, and I've worked in a couple other little restaurants, just helping people out because I met a lot of people, a lot of different restaurants when I was delivering bread, and they'd be shorthanded, and I really liked them, so I'd be like, well, I can cook. I'll come down and cook for you, cover your shift, and got to I have pretty good still relationship with those people. They follow me on in my little venture, and they send me compliments all the time. They've come up and eaten, and they're a good 3 hours away.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere the routes were. So it's pretty neat to go think back to where I was, and then here I am. It's kind of surreal in a way.
That's really cool. How long have you? It's established in 2019. Is that correct? For Lost Mountain BBQ, but
yeah.
you've been doing this before 2019.
Yeah, the year before, I think I started 50 West Barbecue, and I still operate under that LLC. Just a DBA is Lost Mountain Barbecue. But started out with in a little roadside stand next to a liquor store, and it just really took off from there. By the end of the season, the liquor store owner got really pissed because people were filling up his parking lot to buy barbecue and not liquor. So he didn't renew my lease, and I really didn't want to be there anymore. I wasn't as visible. He wasn't really allowing me to have signage out by the road. And, as much smoke as I pumped in the air, people would just drive by like, wow, I smell barbecue. Oh, somebody must be cooking at home. No, I was cooking for you. So when he didn't renew the lease, I just offered to just buy all of his stuff from him, all of his equipment, just so I have something to get started with. And just down the road was literally a quarter mile down the road was one of the few empty, reasonable lots on 50. Because location, you got to be visible. Right next to a Subway. So I figured we could pilfer customers from each other. And I bought the place. It was like 4.5 acres that went up on top of a hill, and broke ground in April. We were open by June, and it's been a wild ride.
That's really cool. So you're down in Romney, but you had told me earlier that you had customers that would drive from Cumberland, and I mentioned as we opened this that it's like 45 minutes to get good barbecue. We don't really have those type of options here in Cumberland. And so what drove you to then say, okay, Cumberland is going to be my next spot?
Well, it started with a friend of mine, Bob Mayhew. He used to own Mayhew Chevrolet, and then he sold it to Weimers. He bought this building over here that I'm renting a unit from him in, and he has been, since he bought it, he's been pitching it to me, and that was about a year ago, and I didn't have the resources, didn't have the system in place yet to really think about expanding. And once I really got things under control, I got people trained, a good staff, and honestly, COVID's the best thing that ever happened to us because we were already all carry out. And so many restaurants were shutting down in the beginning because they just didn't know what to do. Everybody's trying to play it safe. But we were already socially distant. We're locked in our own little bubble in there, and people just walk up to the window and we hand them food. However, it was a bottleneck right there at the window, so we, which could have been dangerous. So we started doing curb service. We just put up a sign, a banner that said, "Stay in your car. We'll come to you." We went and take the orders. They'd be in and out in 5 minutes, faster than our crappy McDonald's. So once we started getting that reputation for fast service and the food was good, we started to see people that were trapped in their house for 3 whole days in Northern Virginia, and they decided to go for a ride, and they were like, "Oh, look, a barbecue." And next thing you know, they're coming up every other week, and then word started traveling. Our likes on Facebook started shooting through the roof. I was able to reach a lot more people, started doing a lot of community outreach, which was good PR, but there were a lot of people that needed help in this point in time. So I think we just earned the loyalty of a lot of people, and they continue to come back, and they really like the food. So,
well, that helps.
Yeah,
when you enjoy the food.
Yeah,
you're willing to drive for it to go get something new. I know my wife and I, we feel the same thing. Sometimes we just need to take a road trip because there is not much to do out there, and so we will travel to go pick up takeout from someplace, 45 minutes, an hour away. Just because we want something different.
Well,
it's the same old options.
It's like Yan's hot dogs out in Fairmont. People will drive their testaments on their Facebook page. People drove 6 hours just to get their Yan's hot dogs. It was they left at like 3 in the morning from Kentucky or something and drove all the way up to Fairmont just for Yan's hot dogs. And that, people will actually do it. You got to have good food. You got to have something good.
Yeah. Well, so when you started, this venture started at home, drinking a beer, your little side pit smoker, and what have you gotten into now that this has become your thing? Were you always doing some type of specialty? Your menu is small, and that's on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the stuff that you're most passionate about, the stuff that you've come up with the secret recipes for?
Yeah, most business restaurant owners I've talked to have said, find something, that's do one thing really good, then a bunch of things mediocre. So I just kind of streamlined the menu, and then I designed the kitchen to just support that menu. Anything we do special it requires an extra set of hands, a different setup with a different piece of equipment. So I can't staff to do things like that, do specials all the time. So when we do a special, it's fresh, it's done that day, and when we're out, we're out.
And you're not going to get it the next day or even 2 days after. It may come around next month again.
Yeah, if it goes really well and the feedback on it's great, we'll do it again. When I get around to it, it's getting this place open over here has pretty much occupied me the past 3 months, and so I haven't really been able to focus on Romney as much until I get things under control here. But now's the time of year to do it. Things are slower in Romney, and I think things will stay steady over here just because it's a higher population center.
Well, and we're getting ready to come out of COVID. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and so now more people will, and you're prime, ready to go. You'll figure out the little quirks that you need for the service here, and to get people in and out. But you're really primed and ready to go. What's a thing that you are most passionate about in the barbecue? Like, what is your top seller? What's the thing that people go for? Is there one thing over the others?
I'd say 2 things. So for some reason, people go nuts over the nachos, but they're like, "Your nacho cheese is so good," and I'm like, "They're like, what do you do different?" I'm like, "Well, I open the number 10 can from Skank's Foods counterclockwise, and that makes all the difference." That's all it is. I guess I get good nacho cheese, but you put the meat on top of it. The meat, of course, helps. It's the highlight of it, but little barbecue sauce, and it's a flavor and texture profile that people aren't used to. So those have been real popular, but the ribs, making ribs consistently in high volume during the summer, we'll sell 200 to 250 racks a week, and that's there. Now over here, if we just double that, that is, I'm going to have a night shift, all kinds of stuff. Thinking to the future, but I guess the ribs are probably the most popular thing, and our loaded baked potatoes. It's
Okay.
best bang for your buck. $15 for this 3-pound monstrosity of stuff that will feed you twice, if not 3 times.
Okay. Well, it's always good to get a large portion of food because who doesn't want to have it again then for dinner or the next day for lunch?
And it reheats well. It
That's
really
good to
does.
know because I'm a microwave kind of guy for the lunch the next day or PBJ.
Now,
So
speaking of microwaves, that's one piece of equipment I will never have in any of my restaurants because you use in a restaurant, use a microwave means you're lazy.
Yeah.
Like I want you to plan ahead. I don't want you to have to like, oh my gosh, we didn't heat up enough mac and cheese. Well, we got someone asked for mac and cheese put in the microwave. No, you make sure you plan ahead. That and I get asked all the time, like, you got liquid smoke in there? Like, no, I don't need that either. I use the real stuff.
that's good because you're passionate about it. This is what you want to do, and it's your name on the product at the end of the day anyway. And so you're still going to smoke down in Romney because that's kind of like where your base is, your kitchen for doing things, and then that gets brought up. All of it's fresh though, so you're starting smoking. I think you said your guy comes in at like 4 or 4:30 to start prep work.
Yeah, about 4:30 in the morning is when he comes in and gets the fire going. He's already prepped the meat for that goes on first for the day before, and then he'll start prepping for the next day's run, and sometimes 2 days ahead. The longer it sits in the fridge with the rub on it, you get a little more flavor out of it, but it's really all in the finish. It could be at the right internal temp. It's got to be pulled correctly, panned up correctly, cooled correctly. There's a lot to it, and I've been pretty diligent about making it simple and making it a process that's repeatable, so I don't have to be there to micromanage every little aspect of it. And they've really stepped up. I pay them really well, so they take care of me, and I take care of them.
That's really good that they're also then passionate about your business, which is serving people, but also then growing the business, right? I mean, now you're creating employment opportunities that pay well here in Cumberland, and it's something new. So you're serving people, but you're also serving your employees, and as they take care of you, it's just a cyclical cycle, which is really great. What's a tip that you would share with those who are passionate about barbecue? Now, I'll admit I have a Traeger. I'm not a great barbecue person. I think that I am okay. It's funny that when you drink a beer or two, you think you're better at something than what you probably are. So if you were going to share maybe some insight with me, something that I could do at home, what's something that you would share that you've learned over the years of doing this?
Don't be in a rush. Take your time. If you're gonna, like, if you got a Traeger, you can just set the temperature and timer and just
Right. Well, it tells
let
my
roll.
phone it's Wi-Fi enabled. It lets me know.
Just let it roll, and which is there's very subtle differences between the wood pellets and actual open fire, but not many people are going to pick up on it. I'm not a connoisseur. I'm not going to pick up on it. Now, a seasoned smoker does make a difference in how your product turns out. But if you've used your Traeger a lot, you're gonna get a pretty consistent product. It's really is a faux pas in the barbecue world, but you gotta. I firmly believe you gotta trim that surface fat off. People want meat, not fat. Let the rub and the smoke penetrate into the meat. That you get a really really nice smoke ring on that, and save the renderings. The renderings are flavor when you pull your pork butt or you slice your brisket, put the renderings back in there. I've gone to a couple barbecue places. The brisket tasted fantastic, but it was dry. They just, I don't know what they did, what their holding process is. But whatever we're doing in comparison to other places seems to work. We get a lot of compliments about just how juicy the meat is. And the flavor, we go for kind of a sweet flavor. On pork, like the pork shoulders and the ribs, we coat them with brown sugar as a binder. Then once it kind of liquefies, then we put the rub on there.
Okay.
And as long as you don't go above like 210, 215 degrees, it doesn't scorch, and you get a real nice candy shell on it.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Stop leaving the fat on, because there has been that, you Google it and you can get 10 different answers, and people say, oh, fat is flavor, but you're right. I don't want to bite into a sandwich and have, a ton of fat in there. I want to eat the brisket or the pork sandwich.
You want the meat, yeah.
Right, exactly. That's what
mean,
you're paying for.
There's a million ways to do barbecue. I found one that works for me, and people seem to like it.
Yeah.
And so I'd never go to somebody else's place and criticize it, like oh well, you don't trim the fat off your meat. Well, you don't know what you're doing. No, that's the way you do it. Okay,
Right. And people enjoy different types of barbecue, and that's a great thing. If you go to Texas, to North Carolina, to Virginia, everyone's doing it a little bit differently, and it's kind of this local flavor. You know, here, I may not drive to Fairmont for a hot dog, but I'm going to go hit up Coney Island and go see Gino. That's just kind of the thing, right?
That's right.
It
I
may
just
not
went there
be-
for the first time the other day.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, that's really good. Met Gino. He's just exactly the characters I've heard described, and
Yeah.
so that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Ate 6 of those loaded rippers. Yeah, that's what it was. 6 loaded rippers. I'm a
Well,
big
you'll have
boy.
to try the vanilla cherry Coke, because he is known for the vanilla cherry Coke. That's something they do
All right.
with real syrup. But so you're getting ready to open. You're right on Center Street in downtown Cumberland. Tonight is an invite soft opening. But tomorrow, Saturday, 3 p.m. is when the gates unleash. Is that correct?
Yes, that is when all hell should break loose. I'm expecting to be slaughtered. There's no more. I can't prepare anymore until maybe after today. This is kind of our stress test today. The soft opening by invite. Invited like fire, EMS, the police, the city officials, special guests, family and friends, things like that, and gave them 50% off. Gave them a little coupon for 50% off. Like, just come and give us a run for our money. And if your order comes out wrong, let me know. But don't complain about it. Don't write a bad review, because you got 50% off. Like,
Right.
This is me paying you to come eat my food and test our system.
But you've got the system down. I mean,
Sort of.
This is a new location, but
I'm working with
This is
new
what you do.
people.
Okay.
I'm working with new people that, especially in the front, that's where customer service starts. That's where order accuracy starts. And I mean, I can sit there and run the expo station and call out the orders all I want, but if the guys that I'm talking to don't know the menu very well or aren't very proficient, it's going to get bogged down. So we're going to start out slow. Once I feel the kitchen gets its rhythm, then I'm going to take my little handheld and go outside and start taking orders and just really push it to them.
I appreciate not only investing in Cumberland, but bringing us something that we don't have that we have to go for. If they want to check out the specials and the menus and things like that, it's available on your Facebook page, Lost Mountain BBQ. You also have a website. Now that list, just so everyone knows, it'll say Romney. You're going to get that updated for Cumberland, but at least it should give you an
Eventually,
idea, right?
Facebook's the best place to go right now.
Okay.
It's it's easier to update. I'm not a technology person, so I feel like I'm proficient with Facebook. But so I'll update stuff real quick. I get a lot of messages. It's kind of overwhelming at times because everybody wants to. Can I see a menu? Can I see a menu? Can I see a menu? I'm like, yeah, I pinned it to the top of the page. Like, it's there.
Great.
Well, what's your address? It's also there. What's your phone number? It's also there.
Right.
So it's, some people are not. I guess they just don't. It's easier for them to ask, and it's
Sure.
I don't know how to delegate someone to run Facebook for me.
Yeah. Well, social media is a challenge. It's a moving target. It's always a moving target, but it's good that you're active on it. Eventually, you'll have Instagram up, some other places to be able to reach you. But definitely head to Facebook for the Cumberland store. And if you're in Romney, check out your Romney location. Where's it at in Romney?
It's 24991 Northwestern Pike. It's right next to the subway in Romney on Route 50.
Okay.
It's all outdoor seating. Of course, right now it's I got it like plastic wrap up around the patio.
Okay.
Just to block the wind. I didn't put heaters out there. There's not enough foot traffic of people that actually want to sit outside, so didn't feel like that was worth the investment. But at least I blocked the wind. During the summer, that'll get opened up, and that patio is usually packed all day. It's a nice little patio. Put a good bit of money into it.
Yeah.
And, I love doing like woodwork. So one thing I do is I scorch a pine, especially. I like to take a blowtorch and torch it. And while I was sitting at when I was building the place in Romney, I was bored waiting for inspectors to show up or contractors to come in and subcontractors come and do stuff with electric. And we had the trusses and everything in place, the posts, and I was looking at it like, man, I should just burn this. So I started gradually going through a couple trusses at a time, a couple posts at a time, and just scorching it. And it added something extra to the ambiance of the place. And I got a lot of compliments on it. I think it resonates to people as attention to detail. Like here's a place that cares about those little details. And,
Right.
It wasn't the intention at first. I was just bored, but now I'm seeing that kind of stuff does help. So in this over here in Cumberland, I put a lot of attention to detail in the aesthetics of the place.
Nice.
And how it presents because, I want to appeal to everybody. I want to appeal to everybody. Like I can have a billionaire walk in there and be like, I'm going to tear up some ribs, or I can have a guy off the street that's got $5. He can get a barbecue parfait and walk out and have a little bit of a lunch. So I try to appeal to as many people as I can and as many flavor profiles as I can. I like to do I love curry. Like I'm big on curry. So when I find curry with like chicken or soup, like when I finally get into making soups over here, I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. But that won't come until I actually get my feet under me because I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep the last 3 nights in a row, and I'm about out of steam. But
Well, I bet you're excited though. This is like
It's
3
adrenaline.
months culmination coming down, and now's the launch. And so we can help you by those who are in the soft opening. A little bit of grace tonight as you're getting things figured out. And then as you extend into the next week, but Cumberland and the surrounding areas, we need to get down to Lost Mountain BBQ on Center Street and support this new business, support those who he's supporting through and being employed by them. And frankly, it's something we don't have. And so I think what's nice is when people come off of the interstate or here, now we're just getting another option to draw people in to our town to be able to do stuff. And literally, it's a block off of Baltimore Street, a couple of doors down from Modiviani. And with that, we're going to get you back to work, Josh.
yeah.
All right. Hey, Josh. Well, thank you so much for your time. I
thank you.
appreciate being on the podcast. And we'll see you within the next day.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, man.